What do you think are the broad content that go into an annual report? Generally, if I look at some big companies which are listed on the stock exchange, I may see an annual report going for anywhere around 150 to 200 pages. Of course, the initial few pages are primarily promotional material of the company. They talk about the products the company is into, they talk about the achievement the company has got, they put up a pictorial representations of the same, they talk about the background of a company, lots and lots of promotional stuff which is not mandatory as per the regulations. It's purely on a voluntary basis. But there are some kind of elements that are very much on a stringent basis, they are very much expected to be a part of the annual report. And all these annual reports, at least for all the publicly listed companies, we see these annual reports presented at least for the last 5 years on their website. So you can typically download the annual report from any of the company's websites also. And what we can see is as a broad content of that annual report, initially there could be a detail about some of the directors. So let me open one annual report. Probably that would make things easier rather than writing out the things as such. Okay, let's go through this annual report, which is almost a 180-page report of Hindustan Unilever Limited. Initially, you could see there is a lot of marketing kind of stuff, their mission, right, and their products just being displayed, the brands, and a few marketing stuff. Overall, yes. At a glance, who we are, a few operation highlights, what we do, segmental performance. Probably they are into soaps and detergent business, personal products, beverages, packed foods. So they are showing segmental revenues and segmental results. But yes, this is all a key part of their promotional stuff. Our key performance indicators, a few financial indicators, net revenue, operating profit, a few of them. And again, in the non financial front, manufacturing areas, better livelihood, a few promotional stuff. Financial performance over the last 10 years, a few important things picked up from the financial statements, the performance trends taken over the last 10 years, but the most important thing is the chairman's statement that is primarily it's addressing the shareholders, and this typically covers a detailed review of the last year and what the company is expecting in the future year, and a clear mention of the various board of directors, right, the list of all their board of directors, both independent as well as the company specific. Then overall, on a broad overview, the business model, these are not again mandatory stuff, the brands and all a part of the marketing stuff, right, and this is entirely voluntary stuff, the operations part, sustainable living plan, these are all typical promotional stuff, awards, special felicitations, all these going, yeah, management committee, who are a part of the management committee, and the notice for the annual general meeting is given as a part of the annual report. And probably let me see. Okay, the profile of the directors, another important area, right? Each of the directors, whether they are independent or not, a brief profile of them, where all they are the directors, to which all companies they are the directors of, that entire details would be published here. The profile of all the directors is published here. The directors report, another important aspect, right, which talks about the financial performance, including the results, the responsibility aspects, how, what is the market overview on it, how the various segments of the business are performing. All that stuff is typically what is the improvement with respect to customer development, supply chain. Depending on the business, the director would be addressing the shareholders and providing some kind of useful information about the company to the regular public, right? So all this is with respect to that. Then a few interesting aspects from the financial statements is what is being provided by the director's report. So, and the most important aspect today is the corporate governance aspect. What is that the company is doing to make sure that all its processes are aligned with that of the shareholders? What is the responsibility of the board? How the board is making sure that the policies of the company are in alignment with that of the shareholders. So that entire thing and how the communication happens with the shareholders, and CFO CEO certification, auditor's certificate, and basically comes the financial statements, the balance sheet, the statement of profit or loss or comprehensive income, the cash flow statement, the notes to the financial statement detailing out all the accounting policies as well as the detailed explanation of the various elements of the balance sheet as well as the income statement. So this will go for quite a few number of pages because they have to detail out all the transactions here. So understanding the notes will take quite a good amount of time. So all this notes comes up, and then comes the independent auditor's report. Whether the financial statements are published as per the accounting standards or not. There is an opinion, unqualified or qualified. We have seen as a part of the auditor's report the kind of opinions the auditor can very well give. So an independent auditor's report is something that needs to be published, and if there are any kind of annexures, he can very well add them up. And then comes the consolidated financial statements. As a group company, right, it as a holding company, it takes the list of all the group companies and finally comes out with a consolidated financial statement. uh, both profit and loss as well as balance sheet and cash flow statement are prepared from a consolidated perspective. The same notes, right, prepared on a consolidated basis by cancelling out all those transactions which are intergroup. All that would be incorporated, and again an independent auditor's report comes even for the consolidated financial statements also. And apart from that, the subsidiary company details all the different subsidiaries, a list both operating from the domestic country as well as from overseas, the list of all those companies, and a few information which is more and more safeguarding the interests of the investor. All that would be published, and towards the end there is corporate information regarding the branches, the plant locations, and all that stuff. So, and finally, some companies on an optional note, they put the satisfaction survey, the proxy form, if at all they require some kind of votings and all that stuff. A copy of some of the important documents would be kept as a annexures. So that is what typically happens as a part of any of those are the typical contents that you see as a part of any of the annual report. But yes, reading the annual report will definitely give a good insight into the entire performance of the company, which can really help us in making a better assessment whether it is really worth investing in this kind of a company or not. Right?